A guy twice my size decided to make an example of me in front of a bar, not knowing I'd spent 9 years teaching people how not to get hurt. I'm 5'6". I weigh about 130 pounds, and I wear glasses that make me look younger than I am. Drunk guys have been picking me out of rooms my entire adult life. So when this enormous guy in a stretched out polo came shouldering across the bar toward the woman I'd been talking to, I already knew the whole script. He wedged himself between us, back to me, blocking me out completely. Told her he'd get her a real drink instead of whatever this kid's been rambling about. She leaned around him, uncomfortable, and started to say we were talking. And he talked right over her and ordered her something without asking what she wanted. Then he glanced at me like he was noticing a stain. "You can go now, champ." I stayed where I was and drank my beer. That's what broke him. He shifted his weight and used his body to push me down the bar until the counter edge dug into my ribs. When I still didn't leave, he turned all the way around and looked me up and down with this theatrical disgust and asked if I had a hearing problem. I told him I was finishing my drink. He reached out and knocked my glasses off my face. They skidded down the bar. Everything went soft and blurry. 9 years of teaching taught me one thing above everything else. The person who throws the first punch loses, no matter who wins. I have a school, I have a certification, I have a mortgage. Every one of those things evaporates the second I swing at a drunk man in a bar. So I walked around him calmly, picked up my glasses and sat back down. He announced to the room that we had a creep situation, pointed at me with his bottle, said I'd been harassing this poor woman all night. His friends at the corner table started hollering. Somebody asked if I'd wandered in from a middle school. The bartender knows me. I've been going there 2 years, and I could feel the room turning anyway, because that's how it works. The loud, confident guy sets the story, and everyone else just receives it. Then he grabbed my wrist and held my arm up like an exhibit, comparing it to his nephew's. He squeezed hard enough that my hand went cold, pulled me off the stool, spun me around for the crowd, and shoved me back against the bar. Not hard enough to be assault, hard enough. He stood there waiting for me to push back, told me to show her I was a man. I kept my hands loose at my sides. No stance, nothing that could be read as a threat on a camera. He called me pathetic and turned back to her, explaining that this was exactly why she needed a man like him around. She stood up and said she was leaving. He caught her wrist, said he'd walk her out because the streets weren't safe. She told him to let go. Firm voice, but I could hear what was underneath it. He smiled and held on and told her to relax. He was being a gentleman. She pulled. He didn't let go. She pushed at his chest with her free hand, and he grabbed that wrist too, held both, and looked over at me with this pleased, cruel expression, ready to make his final point about weak little men who can't protect anybody. I moved. I didn't hit him. I stepped in, broke his grip with a redirection I've taught to 11-year-olds, and put myself between them. Walk away. He shoved me with both hands. I let it move me and stayed on my feet. She got behind the bar. The bartender already had the phone up. Then he came at me like a truck, throwing a wild overhand. I slipped left, and his fist went through empty air, and his own weight carried him 3 steps past me. He spun and swung again. I ducked it. He swung again, and I just kept not being where he was punching. 40 seconds in, he was gasping. His shirt was soaked. The crowd had formed a ring, and half of them had phones up. "Stand still," he wheezed. "Fight me." "I'm not going to fight you," I said. "I'm going to wait." He took one more swing, missed by a foot, and sat down hard on the floor because his legs quit. Police came about 90 seconds later. 12 people had it on video, from 12 angles, including him grabbing her wrists. She gave a statement. So did the bartender. So did 4 strangers. He's got a court date and a restraining order. She came into my school the following week. She's a green belt now. Her grip escape is better than mine was at that stage. She's never going to need me standing between her and anybody again.